I'm really excited to do my show today, and not just because Mr. Whiskers decided to join me. He's super excited too. I'm excited because today we're answering your questions about communication, and not just this kind. Or that kind, but all kinds. So let's take a look at question number 1. It's from Leela.
Can a horse and a pig communicate?
What do you think, Mr. Whiskers? He'll get back to you on that. In the meantime, I think I have the answer to your question. I went over to my friend's farm last week and filmed the horses and the pigs.
Okay, there are the horses and there are the pigs. And it doesn't look like there's any communicating going on between them. Wait a minute. The horse just looked over at the pigs. I'm not sure.
But I'm not giving up yet. Sometimes if you can't find the answer to a question, it's better to ask more questions.
So, Leela,
By the end of the show, I'll have the answer to your question.
speaking of questions, here's another one.
Why do dogs go woof woof?
Now, I don't have a dog, mostly because Mr. Whiskers here is afraid of them. But I do have an answer to your question, Hanifa, and it's pretty cool. So this is my cousin's dog, Clyde. Mr. Whiskers doesn't like him at all.
I found out that when dogs bark, they're not just making noise, they're actually communicating. That means this dog is saying something right now. Do you know what it is? Maybe Ralph? Or Rolf? Roast, maybe. Is it possible that he's asking for a roast?
Oh, sorry, Mr. Whiskers. Here, you can leave. Here's the cool thing. Some scientists in Hungary have figured out that when dogs bark, they're telling us how they feel. And there are different barks for different feelings, like this is the play bark.
That's the bark a dog makes when he's playing fun doggy games, like tug of war or wrestling. Okay, now this is the stranger bark. That's the bark a dog makes when there's a stranger at the door. And here's another kind of dog doing the stranger bark.
There are so many different breeds of dogs, but they all have the same way of communicating with us.
Now, if you knew what the play bark and the stranger bark meant before I told you, you're not alone. People and dogs have a special relationship, and scientists have discovered that people can tell the difference between dog barks, even people without dogs.
How? Adaptation.
Dogs have been our companions for thousands of years, and scientists think their different barks changed over time to sound a lot alike, at least in tone, so that they can communicate with us. These dogs might look different, but they seem to be saying the same thing.
So if dogs bark to communicate with us, let's find out how well you understand them.
Uh-oh. Do try this at home.
Okay, I'm going to play 3 different types of barks for you. The first one is the food bark. That's what a dog barks like when he's hungry. Next is the alone bark. The alone bark is when a dog is tied to a tree and away from his owner. Last is the fight bark, which is when a dog is angry and or vicious. Now we have the 3 barks up here, and you have to guess which one I'm playing. And I'm not going to play them in order. Or am I? Okay, first one. Do you think that dog is hungry, feeling alone, or ready to fight? Ready for the answer? I have a drum roll. Hang on. It'll be easier if I just do it myself. And the answer is alone. Congratulations if you got it right. If not, you still have 2 more chances. Okay, so I'm going to play the last 2 barks one after another. Which one's food? Which one's fight? And the answer is food, then fight. If you got all 3 right, then congratulations. You're like an official dog whisperer. But if you didn't, Don't worry about it. I'm sure dogs don't understand what you're saying either. How could they? I mean, we have so many words, and they only have one. Woof. But I guess it's not just what you say, but how you say it. For example, if I say drum solo, I'm asking a question. But if I say drum solo, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Same words, but when I change the tone, it changes the meaning. It's a part of how we communicate too, and how dogs communicate, even though they don't use words. Hey, and that's the doorbell communicating with me. It's telling me my guest is here, but this time he's 5 inches tall and he's gonna answer a question about communication. This one's from Taya. Coming!
Why do parrots copy us when we talk?
So I'm here with Eliza and Aaron and their macaw, Coco. So why do parrots copy us when we talk? Why do parrots copy us when we talk?
They are able to mimic sound. Birds in the wild will mimic other songs, and parrots, when they live with us, try and mimic the sounds in their environment. So some birds will mimic sounds that they hear, like the telephone or trucks backing up in the alleyway. Many parrots will try and mimic human speech because they live with human beings.
I've heard of parrots that imitate ringtones on phones and doorbells and stuff. Does Coco do that at all, or?
He doesn't do that. His species doesn't particularly copy those types of sounds, but there are other species of parrots, for example, African greys or other birds that like those very high-pitched sounds.
Parrots live in groups, and they use sound to communicate with each other. But if there are no other parrots around for a parrot to talk to, then it will imitate whatever is nearby, like people.
So can Coco say any words at all, or?
Coco has a vocabulary. He speaks in English and in French. Aaron, do you want to try and get him to say something?
Allô, Coco. Allô. Allô, Coco.
So, does Coco really know what he's saying?
Well, Coco will answer you if you ask him a specific question in a specific circumstance. So, for example, if I'm in one room of the house and I call Aaron in another room of the house, he'll tell me to stop yelling because he doesn't like it when you raise your voice. If he wants to go to bed, he'll say, I want to go in my cage. And sometimes he'll say things like, if you ask him if he wants to eat something in particular that he really does want to eat, he'll say, yes, I do. And so they will respond and mimic and answer sometimes what you ask them with a set answer that they already know will give a desired result. But you never know exactly what he's going to say, and he'll say things only when he wants to.
So what's an example of a circumstance where Coco will talk?
Well, Coco likes going into drawers, and sometimes if he's in the right mood and he feels like going into one, he'll yell out, it's a drawer, several times.
In a really loud voice.
In a very loud voice.
It's a drawer.
He's like, yeah, that's me. I say it's a drawer. Okay, well, I have a drawer right over here, so we can try it out then, right?
Okay, let's try it. Oh, look. Want to go in the drawer?
It's a drawer.
Come on,
Coco.
I think I heard him. He said it's a drawer. Thank you for being on my show, and thank you, Coco. I couldn't have said it better myself. Now here's a question from Omarion.
Why do some people speak in other languages?
Well, Omarion, I have no idea. So why don't we start out by finding out how many languages are there? Let's see, there's English, French, Spanish, German, Danish, Greek, Chinese, Lebanese, Croatian, Japanese, Egyptian, Italian, Ojibwe, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Tongan, Romanian, Yiddish, Dutch. Ah! Yay!
You're gonna make my head explode!
It looks like there are around 6,900 languages being used on Earth right now. 6,900? That's more languages than there are countries in the world. Where did all these languages come from?
A long time ago, very far away, prehistoric people might have talked the same. They went their separate ways, and the words they spoke started to change. So mata, mater, madre mia. All mean mother, that lady who cares. Pater, pater, peer, padre. All mean father, no matter what you say. People walk their walk, and they talk their talk. That's why there's so many languages spoken in this world today.
Check out this language question.
From Ashton.
What was the first language on Earth?
So it turns out finding the answer was pretty easy. Scientists think the first language on Earth was some sort of basic sign language. This is how I imagine it.
Apparently, back then, people could only kind of grunt. Which isn't really a great way to communicate. So they probably pointed and made up signs for things they couldn't talk about.
Now it's time for...
My Great Challenge!
Hello, contestants. Are you ready for My Great Challenge?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are gonna be team number 1 and you're team number 2. Today, the challenge is to communicate like early humans without any talking, which is very similar to charades. So team number 2, please leave the room. Team number 1, get ready to play. So Michael, here's the sentence that you will have to act out.
The sentence I gave Michael says, your socks are on fire.
Got it? So Fabiana, you have 2 minutes to guess what he is acting out. Go.
Your feet are on fire?
You're very close. Guess, guess.
Your feet are burning?
Keep guessing, come on.
Your socks are on fire.
That's right, you got it. Yeah. Congratulations. You almost got it right away. You were really close. How did you know that it was fire?
Because when he lifted up his pants, like up until here, I saw him waving his socks, so I just knew it like that.
Why do you think it would be hard if there was no language back then, if you had to act everything out like you just did?
Well, because it would take a long time to guess what I was doing.
Do you think you'd get good at it eventually?
Yeah.
How do you think you did?
Good.
Good?
Great.
Great. Okay, Talia, here's the line that you'll be acting out.
Team number 2 has the same sentence. The sentence is, your socks are on fire.
Got it? Okay, and you'll be guessing what she's acting out. Are you ready? Okay, go.
Your, I don't know what she's doing though. Okay, you're putting on a sock. You're
Keep acting it out.
taking off your sock. You're washing your sock.
Getting closer.
You're drying your sock. It's hot.
Getting very close.
It's on fire.
Yeah, so
Her sock's on fire.
you got it. Awesome. So, Talia, what did you think was the hardest thing about acting it out?
The fire part.
Why did you think the fire part was the hardest?
There's not a lot of fire, like, stuff.
So, and what was the easiest part?
The sock.
The sock? Why was the sock so easy to act out?
You just put a sock on your foot.
Or pretend to, yeah?
Yeah.
So, Jessica, what was the hardest part of trying to guess what Talia was acting out?
Like she said, the fire part, because there wasn't like much movements that she did for the fire, so it was kind of hard to guess.
How did you finally know that it was fire that she was acting out?
Because she like kind of like blew in her hands like it was hot, or like after she put her sock on, she like kind of like said it was like on fire, and she like kind of backed up and like yeah.
Okay, the winner is team number 1.
Yeah!
You guys did it twice as fast as team number 2. Okay. Ancient communication is way too difficult. What I was trying to say is, thanks for playing My Great Challenge. Congratulations. That was awesome. Speaking of speaking with your hands,
There are jobs where people use special signals to communicate. Here's how a sailor sends a message from his ship to another ship. How a baseball catcher sends a secret message to the pitcher. And people who are hearing impaired have figured out how to talk to each other with their hands. It's called sign language.
let's take another question.
This one's from Juliana.
Can you do sign language with animals?
I thought the answer to Juliana's
Question would be no, but you wouldn't believe what I found out.
And if you have a pet monkey, tell him to come watch this too. Since the 70s, scientists have been teaching chimpanzees some human-style sign language. And it turns out they can learn a lot of words.
And over at the aquarium, they have trainers that know how to communicate with dolphins and whales. Let's check it out. So here I am with Nicole Can.
Hey, Harrison.
Hi, so can you tell me the different ways that fish and underwater mammals communicate?
Well, these belugas eat a lot of a fish called herring. And herring is a fish that has a very interesting way of communicating. They make distinct pulse-like sounds in their guts that are way too low for us to hear.
By their guts, you mean
Yeah, I mean farting.
gross. Well, I just communicated myself.
Oh, gross, Harrison.
But how do these guys communicate?
Well, beluga whales are capable of making a lot of different sounds. In fact, early Arctic explorers used to call them the canaries of the sea due to all of the different types of sounds they can make. And we know they use those sounds to communicate with each other, but we're not entirely sure how yet.
Nobody knows exactly what whales are saying to each other with their calls, but we do know some amazing things about them. It's believed that some whales can send their sounds to other whales halfway around the world. And humpback whales, like these ones, sing slightly different songs depending on where in the world they live. It's like each group has its own language.
So how do you communicate with dolphins?
You use sign language.
What do you mean by sign language?
It's a form of communication that we've come up with the dolphins. Everything we do with our hands means something different to them.
Okay, so can you show me a couple?
Sure, if you wanted to ask the dolphins to make noise or to vocalize, wiggle your fingers like you're conducting a choir. Perfect. And then if you wanted to ask them to swim really fast, what we call a speed swim, take your hand and go, go!
Go! Like that?
Yep. That's perfect.
So I can make a dolphin swim fast now.
You could ask them to swim really fast.
Okay. And what about like something awesome, like a backflip?
A backflip, it's actually a really small hand signal. Just your 2 fingers up and down.
Just by saying that, it's telling them to do a backflip.
Yep.
That's crazy. What else? Can they like wave or anything?
Well, if you wave your hands at them, they'll wave back.
They're so smart.
They are very smart.
So how do you say goodbye?
Like this.
Okay. Goodbye. Bye. I gotta teach some of these to my goldfish. Bad news. Mr. Whiskers ate my goldfish. Just kidding. But here's another question. This one's from Laura.
Can animals talk to each other?
So here's how I'm gonna answer your question. I'm gonna show Mr. Whiskers here different animals saying stuff, and we'll see if he talks back. Hey, Mr. Whiskers. Anyway, I think it would be easier just to search and see animals communicating with each other. Animals communicating with each other. Aha! We have a hit.
In Yellowstone National Park, scientists found another example of how different animals can communicate with each other. Ravens have learned a very clever trick. When they spot elk, they fly off to alert the wolves. Then, they lead the hungry wolves toward the elk. When the wolves have moved in for the kill and had their fill, the ravens swoop in and snack on the leftovers. That also answers the first question we started off with. Here it is again.
Can a horse and a pig communicate?
And the big answer is... maybe!
I found out that horses can interpret the body language of other creatures, and pigs are supposed to be way more clever than dogs. So if they really needed to, a horse and a pig might develop some kind of communication, like the ravens and wolves at Yellowstone. But so far, they don't seem to have much use for each other.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of that one. Modern science can rest a little easier tonight. Thanks for sending in all your questions and for watching Finding Stuff Out. Mr. Whiskers, cue. Welcome to Finding Stuff Out, where you ask me your burning questions of the... where you send me your burning questions of the day. I search for the answers. Today, we're answering questions all about bugs. I brought this cool mosquito tank to show you, but on the way here, the door opened and they all flew away, except for one, which just won't leave me alone. Okay, first question. It's from Rim.
Are mosquitoes good for anything, or are they just annoying?
Well, I'm really tempted to say they're just annoying, but every question on my show gets a fair and proper investigation. And by the end of the show, I'll give you my final verdict. Here's a question for you. What's the worst thing about bugs?
Street smarts!
So here I am, and I want to find out what's the worst thing about bugs.
The worst thing about bugs is eating them.
The worst thing about bugs is finding them in your house.
The annoying sound they make in your ears.
They may be poison. It's when they bite or sting. They're just disgusting.
See, it's not just me. Okay, I'll dig a little deeper. Here's a question from Geva.
How many different kinds of bugs are there?
One too many, but let's see, there's beetles, black ants, bees, red ants, carpenter ants, my Aunt Louise, who does sort of look like a bug, grasshoppers, mosquitoes, butterflies, shoe flies, house flies, horse flies, Jiminy Cricket!
You're gonna make my head explode!
I'm gonna need some help here. Please welcome today's guest. She loves bugs. She spends all day with bugs. Please welcome Marika DeChambeau.
Hi. I hope you don't mind. I brought a friend with me.
So, how many kind of bugs are there?
Actually, if you count just insects rule. There are like over 1 million species of insects that are described by scientists. That means that insects that have names.
Wow.
That's a lot, yeah.
That's a lot of bugs. I feel outnumbered.
You are, actually. Okay, so if you take just the ants and you put them on a giant scale, and then you take the humans, all the humans on the planet, and put them on the other side, imagine that. Ants weigh more than humans. What? And that's only ants, yeah. So yeah, we are outnumbered, but they live everywhere. Insects are tiny, so their home, instead of being like a huge forest, is a plant. And if a plant is an apartment, then a tree is like a city for insects. So there's many, many places where they can live, and that's why they're so numerous. They can live anywhere on the planet.
I'm gonna need a bigger fly swatter. That reminds me of a question we got earlier from Peter.
My question is, what bug is the biggest?
Marika?
If you talk about weight, then it's going to be beetle. And this particular beetle I brought here is the Goliath beetle. Just the name reminds you that it's huge, you know, Goliath beetle
Goliath.
or Hercules beetle. These babies can weigh up to 3/4 of a pound, so that's pretty heavy for a bug, actually.
3/4 of a pound? That's as heavy as 2 cheeseburgers.
So imagine when that is flying around, it actually sounds like a helicopter.
Actually?
Yeah, and in Africa, where they come from, if you go on the road, sometimes there's yellow signs, you know, where you have these signs where they say you have to be careful of deer, and they have the same signs, but for beetles. Imagine that, they're that big. But if you get them in your windshield while you're driving, it's kind of like having a huge rock flying in your windshield, so it's kind of dangerous, you have to be careful. I also brought a giant millipede with me.
Okay.
It also comes from Africa. It's pretty huge. Quite tickly.
What the?
Cool, huh?
Yeah.
A tiny hand massage.
Now it's going around.
You're good. And this is not exactly an insect. There's differences between these kind of bugs and insects. Do you have a clue how we differentiate them?
Not really.
No, it's actually the number of legs.
Oh, okay.
When you know it, it's really easy.
Okay.
So if you see 6 legs, it's a bug, it's an insect.
Okay.
If you see 8,
It's not an insect.
you're close. It's hairy sometimes, and it lives in burrows.
Spiders.
There you go. So
Okay.
spiders have 8 legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And millipedes are called myriapods, which means a lot of legs. They're all bugs, but they're not all insects.
Okay.
Yeah. So now the longest bugs are stick insects, like this one, for example. They actually look like branches or leaves, and they do that to avoid getting eaten by predators. Some of them are much bigger, just like this one. See how the size is different?
Yeah.
But some of them are even bigger than this one. Yeah, they can reach 50 centimeters in length.
It's like
I know.
that.
Well, the branch is kind of long too, so they're good at imitating branches. Do you want to pick that one up?
Sure.
It's your new friend.
It's my new friend.
Yeah.
Well, not
Just
really.
put your hand in front.
There we go.
There.
His feet are sticky.
I know.
Now he wants you.
See? There. So this is one example of a stick insect that's more a leaf bug, so it imitates a leaf. It's pretty cool though. You can see his legs look like little leaves too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's the same thing then with the other one. It only eats leaves, so it cannot hurt you in any way. Yeah.
So he eats leaves, and he looks like a leaf.
Exactly, a leaf that eats leaves.
So earlier I looked up the biggest bug that ever lived, and fortunately they're extinct, but I made a model of it and it's practically a kite.
Yeah, that's a giant dragonfly, actually. Their name is Meganeura. Its cousins, today's dragonfly, are much smaller. But small is good for insects because they can be everywhere.
Yeah. Yet, even small insects have a way of making a big impression. Let's take a look at another question.
Why do mosquitoes suck our blood?
The short answer is because they've been watching Twilight with your big sister. Vampires are so cute. Let's ask someone who knows. Marika?
Mosquitoes are not like vampires. They don't eat blood. Actually, they eat nectar from flowers, just like bees. But female mosquitoes, when they have eggs in their belly, then they will need to feed on blood to feed their eggs. So only females bite us to come and get our blood.
So mosquitoes drink nectar, like from a flower?
They do.
Wow, you've really helped us find a lot of stuff out. Thanks for being on the show, Marika.
It's my pleasure.
Here's another question. This one's from Stefania.
What do bugs eat?
Me, unfortunately, Stefania. Did you know mosquitoes think kids are tastier than grown-ups? I was surprised when I found out. But the weirdest thing bugs eat is, well, poop.
Poop is the dung beetle's favorite food. They like it so much they'll actually fight over it. That's got to be one stinky food fight. But that's nothing compared to killer insects. And I went to a place where killer insects live. The bug house.
They'll stomp on you. They'll mush you up with their claws. They'll eat you for breakfast. They're killer insects. Feed me. Ah!
To find out about killer insects, I'm here at a place where they raise them. Don Elliott is an entomologist. That's a scientist who studies insects. He grew up in the rainforests of South America, where insects rule.
So they're not gonna kill me, right?
Oh, no, we just raise good insects.
So what's the difference between good and bad insects?
Well, good insects are beneficial insects like bees and the predatory insects we raise. Bad insects are things like ants, fire ants, and things that cause harm to people and crops. What we do is add good insects to the mix, and the good insects eat the bad ones.
But they don't eat the crops?
They only feed on the bad insects.
Those red things are good bugs. They're the larvae of a midge. That's a type of tiny fly. You could say that larvae are baby bugs. And when they hatch, the first thing those baby bugs want to do is eat and eat and eat. And the thing they like to eat the most are aphids. Those are bad bugs that like to eat our crops. This is another good killer bug. Yep, a ladybug. They can eat up to 1,000 aphids a day.
Ladybugs? Everyone thinks they're like cute and precious, but they're actually
T-Rexes.
You want to see how we collect the insects?
Sure.
Well, we first stop as a water slide for insects.
A water slide? Cool! Let's go see the water slide.
Come on in.
Whoa, look at all the bugs.
Yes, these are good bugs and bad bugs. This is how we collect them.
When these red larvae have eaten their fill of aphids, they drop off the leaf. And when they reach the ground, they start changing from babies to adults. But Dawn's water slide catches them before they hit the ground. They go for a ride. Whoa! And come out the other end. Here.
Whoa, it's like a toilet that's spinning around.
The larvae are carried by the water into this stream.
Oh, whoa.
Those are all the larvae.
How many are in there?
Oh, 10,000.
That's a lot.
Dawn ships the larvae to farmers all over the world so that they can turn into these grown-up killer bugs. These midgets will lay more eggs that will turn into more hungry larvae.
These things are so tiny. Can we see them up close?
Sure. Let's go and take a look through the microscope.
Okay. Whoa! Hey, that one's eating the other one. Oh, that's disgusting.
That's life. Life in the bug world.
Whoa. Okay, so some bugs like eating other bugs. Here's a really good related question from Madeline.
Why do people eat bugs?
I didn't know we did, except maybe on a dare. My good friend Sydney lives near someone who can answer your question.
The Sydney Report.
Today we're here with Professor Massimo Marconi to talk a bit about bugs. Thank you so much for having us.
It's great to have you. Would you like to try some insect tea?
Yes, please. Thank you. Insect tea, you say?
Exactly.
What's it made of?
This is actually the poop of the insect.
Really? I guess I shouldn't have asked that. So, I see that we have quite an assortment of foods as well as these bugs. What are these all for?
Well, in all these foods, when we are consuming them, we're consuming insects.
Oh boy. Are they also in vegetables?
Yes, all vegetables of all types have some sort of insect parts with them, so you're almost guaranteed to have insects.
Oh, that gives me a reason never to eat veggies ever again. So why do people eat insects, including you?
Well, insects are very nutritious. They're very high in both protein and fat. And in many parts in the world, for example, Thailand and places like that, insects eat people's crops, and therefore there's a lot of insects there. So people collect the insects because they have no crops to eat, and they eat the insects.
Do you like eating insects?
Well, it depends upon the bug. The mealybug actually tastes a little bit, they're juicy. So these ones are juicy and they have a little bit of fat in them. Whereas the grasshoppers are a little bit on the crunchy side. So if you want something crunchy, more like a potato chip, then of course they would be the best.
What's your favorite bug?
To tell you the truth, probably my most favorite bug was probably the strangest bug was the scorpion.
A scorpion? Aren't they dangerous?
Well, they're dangerous until you cook them. Once you boil them at that high temperature, the venom that's in them that can harm you is actually destroyed.
Can we try some?
Well, I don't have any scorpions right at this moment, but we probably can cook you up some of the insects and let you try them.
Okay, sure.
Come with me. Sydney, I'd like you to meet Chef Carlos.
Nice to meet you.
He's one of the best chefs here at the University of Guelph, and he's going to help you cook up some insects.
Great. Thank you so much.
I'll leave you to it.
Thank you. What do we start with?
First, we're going to do the worms first.
Okay. So just pour in a few. Oh my gosh!
Some crickets.
Oh boy.
That's good. We're going to put some mushroom now.
Okay.
Some bok choy.
Okay.
You can put some noodles.
All of these noodles. Okay, we're gonna go in. Noodles going in. Oh, that smells amazing. Wow, I never thought I'd be saying something like that about bugs.
Yes.
All right, let me get a little bug in there too.
There you go.
Oh, the noodles are falling off. I'm gonna try one of these mealworms too, actually. That was amazing.
Anytime you like it, I make more for you.
Okay, so eating bugs was a good experience, but I've got to admit, I was happy when it was time for dessert. Chocolate! Then Dr. Marconi told me there were bugs in that too.
Oh, well, what if I just wanted to eat about half of it?
Well, even if you eat about that amount, there's about 30 insect parts there.
30 insect parts? What if I just ate one little stick?
About 15 of them there.
What if I only had one little block?
About 2 or 3 insect parts.
Oh, so it seems that even if we don't think we're eating bugs, we are eating them. They're in a lot of food we eat every day. That's what I found out, Harrison.
Thanks, Sydney. That gives me an idea for some street smarts.
So here I am at Kells Elementary, and I've set up a little experiment inside this classroom, which these kids have bravely volunteered to try. Are you sure you guys don't mind eating all these marvelous treats?
Yes.
Okay, well, dig in.
They don't know it yet, but there are insects inside these foods.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yep. So would it surprise you if I told you that you just ate a bug? Well, sort of. Red dye is sometimes made by crushing eggs of a cochineal beetle. What? Does that gross you out or what?
Yes.
But don't worry, it's perfectly safe.
Okay.
I think this is my favorite science project in the world.
No?
The Flat Earth Corner! I like to spray the bugs, the aphids and the slugs, the spiders, caterpillars, flies and worms. I spray the bugs upon my plants, the bees, the butterflies, the ants. If I only spray enough, my flowers will bloom.
Not long ago, like in our parents' lifetime, people thought that the only good bug was a dead bug. They sprayed poisons all around their gardens. But nowadays, we know that many insects do a lot of good things.
Pollinate, makes your flowers bloom real great. Vegetables and fruits and trees need pollination from the bees. Yeah, vegetables and fruits and trees need pollination from the bees.
Why do bees live?
They probably wonder the same thing about us, Tamara. But seriously, let's find out why bees live with...
Great Challenge!
Today's great challenge is between Team Butterfly and Team Bee. You'll be Team Butterfly, and you'll be Team Bee. The bees are depending on you to represent them. Don't sting me, okay?
Don't worry.
See that yellow stuff in the middle of the flower?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pollen.
When bees and butterflies land on a flower to drink nectar, which is like the best juice in the whole world if you're a bug, the pollen gets all over them. Then, when they visit the next flower, some of that pollen rubs off. The pollen is how a flowering plant can make new little plants.
You're gonna show us why bees live. You already have your special pollinator vests on, and these are your pollen balls. When I say go, you have 20 seconds to jump in and get as many of the pollen balls as you can to stick to you without using your hands. Got that?
Yeah.
Then, when I say time's up, you have to come over here and you have to shake or rub off as many pollen balls as you can into these flowers. This one's Team Butterflies and that one is Team Bees.
But remember, you can't use your hands.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go get your pollen! Time's up. Remember, this one's Team Butterflies and that one's Team Bees.
Team Butterfly slips and Team Bee gets ahead. Team Butterfly is trying to catch up. Time's almost up.
Okay, stop. Now come over here. Let's see. Team Butterfly has 20 pollen balls. And let's see. Team B has 27. Team B wins. So there you have it. Bees live so that they can pollinate flowers, make us honey, and enjoy the sweet life.
Uh-oh. Do try this at home.
Oh, if you're feeling left out, I also have a challenge for you. Look for something that's made from bugs in your home. Cobwebs don't count. Here is a hint. Silkworms make silk.
So maybe a bug made the silk for your cushion or the ribbon in your hair. And a bee made the wax for beeswax candles. And honey. And even the honey in cough drops. And you remember that cochineal dye that makes candy red? It's also used for all kinds of things.
Do you have one of these at home? Or does your mom use this? You can tell her she's putting bugs on her lips. Who knew bugs were so useful? So let's see, Rim. Did I ever answer your original question?
Are mosquitoes good for anything, or are they just annoying?
The big answer is both. True, mosquitoes bite me and annoy me, but they're an important part of the food chain. For example, trout love to eat mosquitoes. Good going, trout. I don't have to like them all, but we need them. Bugs are important to our planet. Hey, I was saying nice things about you. So that's my show. Keep sending in questions so I can find stuff out for you. Aha, I know what I need. A trout. Who's scared now, Mr. Mosquito Man? Hi, welcome to Finding Stuff Out, the show where I answer your burning questions of the day. Like...
Why does the moon follow us?
Yes, Carl, why does the moon follow us? I wondered that myself recently while I was out for a walk.
Did you ever get the feeling that you were being followed? That's weird. It's you!
I caught the moon following me. Why does the moon follow us?
I don't know, but we're about to find out what tricks that moon is up to. And by the end of the show, I'll have the answer to your question.
Here's one from Jessica.
Why is there a moon?
Why is there a moon? I don't know. I know that it's there in the sky, but I've never really thought about why. And now you've got me thinking about it a lot. Did it just show up on our doorstep one day? Like a cat? It's mind-boggling. How did something so big get there? Why is there a moon? Ah!
Yay! You're going to make my head explode!
To answer your question, I went to the moon. Just kidding. If I really was on the moon, my face would expand and I wouldn't be able to breathe. Hey! Hey, Rover! Are you following me too now? But seriously, I'm here today at the Canadian Space Agency in a place called the Sandbox, which is very similar to the surface of the moon. And here I am with Caroline Emmanuel Morissette, who's a lunar geologist.
Hi, Alison.
Hi. So what is the whole point of this sandbox?
Well, we can use it to practice for possible future lunar missions.
The astronauts practice down here, so they know what to do on the real moon. This is the perfect place to answer your question. Why is there a moon? Caroline says that most scientists think it's because of something called the giant impact.
The giant impact theory.
So did it involve giants like Jack and the Beanstalk swinging clubs like this?
No, it didn't.
Caroline tells me that according to the giant impact theory, billions of years ago, an asteroid as big as Mars smashed into the Earth. Parts of the Earth and parts of the asteroid shattered into pieces, then joined together to form the moon that we now see in our sky.
So in all the vastness of space, there's a chocolate cupcake orbiting around the sun, minding his own business, when all of a sudden, whoosh, hey there, buddy, this is my orbit. Get your own, pal. I'm sorry, I'm out of control, I can't help it.
Yes, you can. Out of all the orbits in the galaxy, you had to choose mine. Whoa! Hey, you got vanilla icing all over me. No, you got chocolate icing all over me. So the moon is made up of bits of vanilla cupcake and chocolate cupcake. Or, as an astronomer would put it, the moon is made up of bits of the Earth and bits of the asteroid that hit the Earth.
Next question.
Why does the moon have bumps like that?
Yeah, why does the moon have so many bumps?
When the Earth and the moon formed,
Caroline says when the Earth and the moon were made billions of years ago, there was so much stuff floating around in space that rocks and planets were always bashing into each other. Even today, new craters get made on the moon. It happens when meteoroids, that's stone or metal debris from space, crash into it. Wow, I made my own mini crater! I wondered why those meteoroids don't hit the Earth too. Caroline tells me it's because the Earth's atmosphere is like a shield. The meteoroids burn up when they try to get in. When you see a shooting star, it's really a meteoroid burning up in the Earth's atmosphere. But the moon doesn't have an atmosphere to shield it, so it gets hit. How big can the craters be?
well, some are very large, so you could take a day to cross them in a car.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So thanks for being on my show and helping me find stuff out. It was out of this world.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure, Harrison. Thank you.
Okay, Rover, ready? Oh, good boy! Yeah! Good boy, Rover! Yeah, good job! Good boy! Yes, you are! Good boy!
Street smarts!
So, we all know that the Earth is made of, well, Earth.
And water. And what about plants? And rocks?
But what is the moon made out of? I have these kids here to help me find out.
Craters, lots of gray stuff, dirt, white grass.
I think it is made of mozzarella or Parmesan cheese. And if I were to go to the moon, I would be sitting there all day long eating cheese.
Do you think you'd get sick of the cheese?
Yes, I would.
Here's a question from Evan.
Why does the moon light at night, but not so much during the day?
Well, Evan, I found the answer on the website for NASA. They're people who explore space.
This is the moon at night. It's brightly lit up. And this is it during the day. You're right, Evan. It's not so bright now. But why?
I think this calls for...
The experiment! The NASA article suggested this experiment. Pretend this is the sun, and this mirror is the moon.
There's a lot of light, so when I put it over here,
we can still see the mirror. It just doesn't stand out a lot against the bright daytime sky. But when it's night, my mirror looks bright against the dark sky. Whether it's day or night, we can see the moon because it reflects the light from the sun. The moon doesn't make any light of its own. Look, if I turn the sun off, no more shiny moon.
So the moon has another disappearing trick up its sleeve, as Marissa points out.
Why sometimes the moon is full, but sometimes the moon is not full?
Marissa, that's a very challenging question, and the answer calls for...
My Great Challenge!
Okay, contestants, let's take a look at the phases of the moon.
Marissa is right. Here the moon is full. You can see all of it. But now, watch that moon start to disappear. It gets dark on one side, and it keeps getting darker a little more each night until you can only see half the moon. Eventually, you can only see a sliver of it, until it looks like a giant toenail clipping.
I hope you don't leave those under your bed. Moms hate that. Well, at least mine does.
Yeah, mine hates that too.
Anyway, finally it reaches the new moon stage. That's when we can't see it at all. Then, it gradually reappears, until it's the full moon again.
That's my favorite phase, could you tell?
Yeah. And it's also my signal to start this challenge.
You're gonna wear these way cool hats!
Yeah!
Here comes the sun. Now, you are the Earth and you are the moon. Your job is to find the new moon, which is the one that disappears. Go!
Marissa, the challengers are bending their brains to figure out the answer to your question. Why is the moon full sometimes and not full at other times? Team number 1 seems to be having trouble figuring it out. I guess they've got a lot on their minds. Get it?
Slower. Faster. Here, there. Can't really see the moon when it's there.
Yes, you're correct. When the moon is between the sun and the Earth like that, that's when you can't see the moon as well.
That's because the sun isn't shining on the side of the moon you can see.
Now, the second part of the challenge is for you to find the full moon. Go.
Now?
Correct. As you see, now the Earth is between the moon and the sun, and the moon is fully lit.
That's because the sun is shining on the side of the moon that you can see.
You guys took 1 minute and 50 seconds to complete the challenge. Here comes the sun again. Okay, team number 2, now it's your turn. You're trying to find the new moon, which is when you can't see it. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, go.
Can team number 2 figure it out faster than team number 1?
There. You're correct. As you see, the moon is between the sun and the Earth, and now you can't see the moon. So now you're trying to find the full moon. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, go.
The clock is ticking. If they can do it on their first try, they'll win this challenge.
There. Correct again. As you see, now the Earth is between the sun and the moon, making the moon full. That was amazing. You guys did it in 17 seconds.
Yahoo!
Yeah! Congratulations. The winner of the challenge is team number 2.
Yahoo!
Thomas, you did it really fast. Why did it come so easily to you?
I knew that when all the light would be on it, it would be the full moon. And that when none of the light would be on it, it would be the new moon.
Did you learn that in school, or where did you learn?
Well, I don't remember actually.
You just knew, because you're a genius.
Kind of.
Why do people say the moon tastes like cheese?
The short answer is because they've never tasted moon rocks, which don't taste anything like cheese.
The moon made out of cheese? That would be awesome! In the 17th century, someone noticed the moon looked like green cheese. People joked around a lot about it being cheese. Apparently people are easily tricked because it caught on quite quick that the moon was made of Gouda, feta, cheddar, Swiss cheese. Unfortunately, it's none of these.
Why do wolves howl at the moon?
That's a really interesting question. Let's take a look at some wolves howling.
Wolves howl a lot. They even howl in the daytime. I checked, and wolves are more active on nights when the moon is bright, since, just like with us, it helps them see. And the more active they are, the more they howl. So it's not that they are howling at the moon. It's just that when the moon is bright, they're most likely to be going out doing all the things that wolves like to do. Like howling.
Wolves hold their head up high when they howl, which is why if they're howling when the moon is out, it looks like they're howling at the moon. But speaking of wolves and full moons...
Does the moon turn people into werewolves?
The Flat Earth Corner!
Does the moon turn people into werewolves? Well, as everyone in medieval Europe knows, duh, of course it does. I'm actually getting as hungry as a wolf. I really could use some moon cheese. Strange. That one didn't sound like my stomach. Werewolf! People used to believe that the full moon turned people into werewolves. But the truth is, there's no such thing as werewolves, except in movies. But that doesn't mean you have to tell your little brother or sister. Speaking of weird movie ideas about the moon, check this out.
The full moon is the brightest object in the night sky. So it's no wonder that it pops up in so many myths, songs, and stories. And in this old movie. People have been dreaming about going to the moon for a long time, even if they didn't get all the details right.
So that's not exactly how it happened, but it brings me to my next question, which is from Steven.
I want to know who was the first man on the moon.
Well, it definitely wasn't this guy.
Or these guys.
But there really was a first man on the moon.
The first man on the moon is on board this rocket. He went a long time ago, in 1969. 2 other astronauts are with him in the rocket. It traveled about 400,000 kilometers. That's the same distance as going around the Earth 10 times. When they got there, one of the astronauts, Neil Armstrong, became the first person to walk on the moon and talk on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Altogether, 12 people have been to the moon. They collected moon rocks and soil. And they also seem to spend a lot of time bobbing around. As Destiny has noticed,
Why do we float on air when we walk on the moon?
well, Destiny, walking on the moon feels a lot like walking on a trampoline because the moon has a lot less gravity than the Earth does. So we don't weigh as much on the moon as we do on Earth.
I was strolling on the moon one day in a merry, merry month of December.
So if you weigh about 70 pounds on Earth, like me, then you probably weigh only about 12 pounds when you're on the moon. That's the same as, like when you were a baby. That's me. I'm so cute. I wasn't so bad when I was a baby either. Anyway, this gives me a good idea for my Do Try This at Home.
Do try this at home.
To get a sense of how different it would be if you were on the moon, try this. Wait, I think I can do better. Let's try that again. Now you try. Are you ready? And jump! Good. If you were like most kids, you probably jumped between 1/4 of a meter and 1/2 meter.
But if you were on the moon, you'd be able to jump 6 times higher. That's about 3 meters. That's higher than most ceilings. That would be pretty cool.
Note to self, don't try this at home if your house is on the moon. Now here's a question about something that happens right here on Earth.
How does the moon control the waves?
The answer is pretty amazing.
Our sun's gravity pulls on the Earth, which is why the Earth circles the sun.
I'm heavy, so I've got a lot of gravity.
Earth's gravity pulls on the moon, which is why the moon circles us.
I've got some influence of my own.
But even while the Earth is pulling on the moon also affects the Earth.
You're not the only one with pull around here.
That blue is Earth's ocean. Because Earth is always spinning, the moon is constantly pulling at different parts of it.
That makes the tide or water level of the ocean higher in the parts of the Earth closest to the moon. There's also a high tide on the opposite side of the Earth, because the moon pulls harder on the Earth than on the water over there.
If If you don't live near the ocean or have never been there and seen the tide come in, it's pretty amazing. Check this out.
This is the Bay of Fundy in Nova Scotia. It has the highest tides in the world. The difference between high and low tide here is almost 17 meters. That's the height of a 5-story building. And look, this turbine uses tides to create electricity. See the wheel turning? And some people have used the moon's tides to have fun, like these people surfing on a tidal river in Great Britain. I say, this is jolly good. Yeah, hang 10, mate.
Well, the moon is pretty awesome. It's beautiful to look at, it's our closest neighbor, and it has a strong effect on our planet. So there's just one last thing we have to figure out, and that's the answer to the question that brought me on this lunar quest to begin with.
Why does the moon follow us?
So, Carl,
your big answer is... distance! Remember when I said astronauts traveled 400,000 kilometers to reach the moon? Well, that is very, very far away. But these buildings are really close.
When I walk down the street, I pass the houses and trees quite quickly. But the moon is so far away that it doesn't seem like you're walking past it.
And that's why it seems like the moon follows us. Actually, the moon had some traveling of its own to do, and I'll show you that right now.
If you stay in one spot and watch long enough, you'll see that during the night, the moon appears to travel far across the sky because the Earth is turning.
See you next time for more Finding Stuff Out. Later. Try to follow me now. I would sure love to go to the moon one day. What about you guys?
Yes! Because I love cheese.
Welcome to Finding Stuff Out, the show where you send in your questions and I find out the answers. Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. It's just I'm doing an experiment. Now, here's the first question from Cordell.
Why do bats sleep upside down?
The short answer is because they don't have claws on their head to hang on with. Okay, I don't know why bats sleep upside down when they sleep, but by the end of the show, I'll have the answer to your question and a bunch of other cool stuff about sleep.
Why do we yawn when we're sleepy?
Nobody knows why we yawn when we're tired, but it's contagious, like a cold, except you don't get sick. Scientists say we yawn just from seeing other people yawn. Here's an experiment you can do with your family or your friends. Just do this. And chances are, people around you will start to yawn without even thinking about it.
Nobody knows why we yawn. Nobody knows why we yawn. When we yawn, we breathe in oxygen, get the old air out and the new air in. If you yawn, someone else will too, but we don't know why it's something we do. Cause nobody knows why we yawn. Nobody knows why we yawn. We can put a man up on the moon. We can skate on ice in the month of June. We can build a robot to mow our lawn, but nobody knows why we yawn.
Oh, sorry. I'm still doing my experiment. Were you watching carefully? Did you yawn? It turns out it works on chimps too. So next time you're at the zoo, gotcha! Gotcha, yeah, it's you.
Well. It seems that chimps are not the only animals that yawn. In fact, most of them do.
What happens if you sleep your whole life?
Nobody knows, Trevor, because no one slept for their entire life. But there are made-up stories like Rip Van Winkle. He fell asleep for 20 years, But judging by this, if you did sleep your whole life, you'd probably end up looking like Santa Claus, only without the reindeer, red suit, or presents. But in real life, nobody sleeps for 20 years in a row.
In the wild, big cats sleep up to 20 hours a day. That's this much. That means they're only awake for 4 hours a day. Because they sleep a lot, they save their energy and don't have to eat as much. Catching your dinner is tiring work.
Next question's from Talea.
How much do we sleep?
I've never really thought about how much we sleep in total, but I know that grown-ups sleep 8 hours a night.
Okay, let's see here. You do 8 hours a night times 7 days a week equals 56 times 52 weeks in a year equals 2,912 times the number of years. Oh my gosh, this is unreal! I can't handle it! Why do I even have a calculator this big?
You're gonna make my head explode!
Here we are at a brain research clinic, the perfect place to come after your head explodes and to find out how much we sleep. And here's Anita, a brain specialist.
Hi, Harrison.
Hi. So, Anita, how much time do we sleep?
Approximately 25 years.
25 years? That's a lot of time wasted sleeping. I could do so many better things like play music all night.
Yeah, play music all night. Playing music all night.
Well, I'm sorry to say, Harrison, that's just impossible. You just can't do it. Your body would just fall asleep even if you didn't want to.
Shucks! Play music all night. Yeah.
How come we need sleep?
Yeah, why do we need sleep? Anita tells me that it has to do with these guys. Growth hormones. We have to sleep so much because that's when our body produces them. They make kids grow. Sleep is also the time when our body does most of its repair work.
So, not me, but that's why other kids have to sleep so much, right?
Sure.
What does your body do when you sleep?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, to answer that question, why don't we do a little experiment? Go put on your PJs.
PJs? Okay.
Destiny, the best way to answer your question is for me to go to sleep. With wires attached to my head.
So I'm ready to go to sleep, and these wires are gonna measure my brain activity while I'm asleep. And no, in case you're wondering, I don't sleep with a teddy bear.
The answer to what happens to your body when you're asleep is in your brain.
So, is that a real brain?
Yeah, it's a real cow's brain. It's about the size of a 12-year-old's brain.
Thanks a lot. Now I'm gonna have nightmares.
Okay, we're recording. Good night, Harrison.
So I went to sleep while a camera watched how I moved. And the wires on my head sent signals to a computer that drew my brainwaves. It showed how active my brain was. Then, Anita showed me what happened to my body while I slept.
Harrison, this is when you're awake.
Okay.
As you can see, your brain waves are smaller.
Here, my brainwaves are small. That shows that I'm still awake. Then the waves get bigger as my body slows down and I go into a light sleep.
You can see that your brain activity is starting to change.
Yeah, it goes more jagged there.
Yep, the waves are bigger, which means you're starting to fall asleep. These are what's called sleep spindles.
Okay.
So that means you're around stage 2, so you're asleep now.
Okay.
And your breathing is still constant and your muscles are still moving.
Scientists measure sleep in 5 stages. The waves show how I am asleep now, and as the night goes on, my sleep gets deeper. Then, something suddenly changes.
All of a sudden, you see really...
Wow. Yeah, that's...
a lot of fluctuations up and down.
Wow. Big change.
Yep.
The 5th stage of sleep is when you dream. It's called REM, which stands for Rapid Eye Movement. It's called that because our eyes move around very fast while we sleep. Our dreams feel so real, but we don't move.
And even your muscles, you can see now, change completely. So your muscles are paralyzed and you can't move. And the only muscles that can move are the muscles for breathing, your eyes, and for hearing.
Wow. It's believed we can't move because it's nature's way to prevent us from acting out our dreams and getting hurt.
How come when my sister sleepwalks, she can go up and down a ladder?
Well, we don't exactly know why people sleepwalk, but we do know that she's probably in stage 3 or 4 of her sleep because in REM, your muscles are paralyzed, so you can't move. Children tend to sleepwalk more than adults, and you tend to grow out of it.
Is it dangerous to sleepwalk?
No. You tend to do everyday activities like fold your clothes or walk up and down the stairs.
It's really weird. I'd probably go to the fridge or play drums.
Well, it's nice to know that sleepwalking is not dangerous. Except if you bump into something. That your brain is smart enough to keep your heart beating, even when you sleep. And finally, that sleep does help kids grow. We really do need to go to bed.
Thanks, Anita. And thanks a lot for the nightmares.
Are you feeling better?
Much better.
Why do we have good and bad dreams?
The Flat Earth Corner!
To sleep, perchance to dream. Why indeed do we have good and bad dreams? No! That was a scary one. But verily I believe that it was not the large, lip-smackingly yummy pepperoni pizza that I has eaten before bed that caused my bad dream. Nay, methinks it was the work of a demon! The mare part in nightmare is Old English for demon. That's because people used to think bad dreams were caused by night demons. Nowadays, we know the only person that can give you a nightmare is yourself. Though, having pizza before bedtime probably isn't the best idea. Your body wants to rest, not digest. But nightmares can't hurt you, so next time you're having one, think of an ending that's not scary. Say you have a dream that you're in your room when all of a sudden, instead of being scared, oh, you again. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You're that scary nightmare my imagination created. Well, I've decided you're not so scary anymore. Nope, you're not that scary. Instead, you're gonna be a balloon. Goodbye, nightmare. See you later. That's better. So, next time you have a bad dream, remember, you're in charge, not the thing that's scaring you. Just turn that dream into something fun, like this one, my personal favorite. I can fly! Experts say a lot of kids dream about flying. They say when we're having this kind of dream, we're allowing ourselves to experience success by using our imagination and courage. Woo! I just flew in from Las Vegas. Man, are my arms tired. Hey, what's that baby head doing in my dream?
Street farts!
So everybody sleeps, right?
Yeah.
But I want to know about your dreams. So what is your weirdest dream you've ever had?
My weirdest dream was when I was getting chased by a giant pink robot. I turned into a director, and then I keep saying action, and everybody's not listening to me, and then a random blue pig keeps coming and dancing. My weirdest dream was when 10,000 cats were chasing me.
A dog ate me. Your dog ate you?
He ate me, and when he spit me out, I did it to E.T.
When ninja were attacking me, like with ninja stars and stuff for no reason.
A lion comes into town and eats a chicken bone. He goes into the store, and then he eats the chicken bones from in there, and everyone runs out screaming like they're getting chased.
I turned into a Lego guy, and I had the secret lair and stuff.
My weirdest dream is when a blue kangaroo was chasing me for no reason.
My weirdest dream is when I turned into a blueberry.
A blueberry?
When I turned into a small person and a guinea pig was chasing after me.
Turned into a cloud and I floated all the way to China, and when I came back, I became a new normal human again.
Well, there it is. I'll tell you that my weirdest dream was when I went to this really weird school with some really weird kids, and they started telling me about all their weird dreams.
Zombies! Dreams aren't the only thing we do when we're sleeping, as Adonijah points out.
How come when grandpas sleep, they snore so loud?
I was going to ask your grandpa, but he was sleeping. And by the way, he does snore loudly. But I checked, and anybody can snore, no matter what age they are. When you sleep, your body relaxes, including all this stuff.
When it relaxes, all that stuff in your throat blocks your air passages. So, you breathe harder to get air. Then that stuff vibrates, making the snoring noise. But we do tend to snore more as we get older. That's because our muscles get weaker. So all that stuff is looser and blocks out air passages. And that's why Grandpa snores so loud.
Even if you're young and not overweight, you can still snore.
Uh-oh. Do try this at home.
You can try the snoring experiment right now as it happens. First, tighten up your nasal cavities right here. Then, breathe in and you should be able to make a sound like this. Did you get it?
So next time you want to stay up late reading comics under the covers with a flashlight, if your parents come along,
Harrison, are you still up?
you can fool them into thinking you're sleeping.
No, I guess he's asleep.
I never told you that, all right?
Why don't fish die when they sleep?
So to answer Yaren's question, I'm here with marine specialist Nicole Can, who can answer your question. Hi. So why don't fish die when they sleep?
It's a really great question, and mostly it's because they don't sleep the same way that we do. They never get to sort of nestle into the kelp and have really sweet fishy dreams, whatever they dream about. Instead, they keep sleeping while they're swimming. So as they go around, they can shut down most of the energy levels in their bodies, keep taking in water through their mouths and passing it over their gills, but they're not really paying attention to what they're doing. They're sort of zoned out. As soon as a predator comes by, though, they can snap awake and swim away.
So it's kind of like sleepwalking.
Maybe sleep swimming.
Sleep swimming.
Do whales sleep?
So do whales sleep?
Absolutely they do, but they sleep completely differently than we do. It's actually my favorite thing about these whales. Like Keela here, she can turn off half of her brain at a time. Because they're mammals, like we are, they have to breathe just the same as we do. But they have to think about every single breath they take. So while one half is asleep, the other half keeps them going up to the surface to grab air, and then they can switch. And they keep going back and forth until they've had enough rest, and they can get on with their day.
It's a little strange.
A little bit.
So do they sleep the same amount that we do?
Absolutely not. First of all, they never sleep for as long as we do. But some whales, dolphins, and even killer whales, when they're babies, they might not sleep at all for the first month of their life.
They don't sleep? Their parents must be more tired than mine. What about other creatures like sea otters.
Sea otters sleep too, but they do it at the surface. So they get a big group together, and sometimes they'll even actually hold paws like this to make sure that nobody floats away while they're sleeping. So everybody from whales to otters to fish, everybody sleeps, but they all sleep a little bit differently than we do. Harrison?
I checked, and it's not only sea creatures that sleep differently than we do.
Monkeys and chimpanzees like to sleep in the trees where they're safer from animals that could sneak up and attack them if they were on the ground. Giraffes and elephants don't have to worry very much about getting eaten, except when they are sleeping. So they need only 3 hours of sleep a day. Birds can even snooze for 30 seconds at a time when they're in the air. That's how they manage to fly non-stop when they fly away for the winter and return in the spring. Some animals sleep during the day. They don't get busy till night, like raccoons, hamsters, fireflies, and, you guessed it, bats.
And Cordell, that takes us back to your question that kicked off the show.
Why do bats sleep upside down?
The big answer is to make a quick getaway. Say, poor Mr. Bat is asleep when a hungry raccoon spots him. A bird could just quickly fly up and away, but poor old Mr. Bat can't take off fast like a bird. His wings aren't strong enough. He can only start to fly by dropping into the air. So what's a bat gonna do? Suddenly, that old raccoon lunges at Mr. Bat. Mr. Bat lets go and drops through the air. He gets up enough speed to start flying and make his getaway. Whoa, that story had me hanging on the edge of my seat. When you hang on to something, you have to think about tightening your hands around it.
But for a bat, it's the opposite. Their claws naturally close. They have to consciously make them open. That keeps them from falling when they're asleep. So they have to wake up and let go and start flying. And that is why they sleep upside down.
And just for the record, this position is very uncomfortable. Thanks for watching Finding Stuff Out. See you next time. Ow. Hi, welcome to Finding Stuff Out, where I answer your big questions. Like, what is all this stuff? Stick around and you'll find out. Because by the end of the show, I promise there'll be an explosive finish. Now, I always start the show with one of your questions, so here's the first one.
What will happen if someone cracks the earth?
The short answer is mass destruction, disaster, chaos, the release of giant radioactive monsters! But seriously, if there are underground monsters waiting to escape, I want to know about them. So by the end of today's show, I'll find out what would happen if someone cracked the earth.
Here's a question from Jaden.
What I want to know is, how does an earthquake happen?
Well, there isn't an earthquake happening here at the moment, but I do know where to find out about them. My good friend and roving reporter Sydney is at the Science Center.
The Sydney Report.
Thanks, Harrison. Today I'm with Julie Jones, the earthquake expert. How does an earthquake happen?
That's a great question. The Earth is a bit like an orange. Inside the orange is liquidy and juicy. Inside the Earth is liquid rock. It's hot. Now, on the outside of the Earth, there's a crust. Just like on the outside of the orange, we have a peel. But they're in plates. And so I've kind of shown here that we've taken the orange open, and when those plates shift and move, that's when we get earthquakes.
Julie told me that where tectonic plates meet, that's where earthquakes and volcanoes happen. Like here, around the edge of the Pacific Ocean. There are so many earthquakes and volcanoes there that it's called the Ring of Fire. This map shows the number of earthquakes that have happened in the last 30 days. Wow, there's a lot. Julie tells me They use something called the Richter scale to measure their energy.
The actual scale ranges from 0 to 10. Now, we've never had a 10. That's incredibly a massive earthquake. But anything less than a 2, we don't really notice at all. Something from like a 2 to a 3.5 or a 4, you're going to notice the earth, it's going to move a little bit. Maybe some of the china in your cabinet that's a little close together is going to rattle. You might see some liquid moving in a fishbowl. But it's still a fairly small earthquake. But once you get into the 4s and the 5s and the 6s, then the building starts to shake. And once a building starts to shake, there can be damage in a building. And once you get up to something that's a magnitude 9, well, those are some of the biggest earthquakes we've ever had, and those are incredible. The whole building just wobbles back and forth. They collapse. We have tsunamis. All of those things go with a 9. All right, so when the surface of the earth moves, the buildings move. And we try and make our buildings safe by building them using certain techniques. Here we have 2 distinct buildings. One is a very standard building. The other one is actually on a base that shifts back and forth so that when the earth shifts, in theory, it doesn't move around as much, making it a safer building to be in. You've got some handles that give the table a shake.
Oh, I see. So this one moves with the earth, whereas this one just shakes back and forth.
Yeah. Now, we just discovered that this building will be the safer building to be in. So clearly it will survive a stronger earthquake than this one.
I also read that diagonal crossways for a building would make it more stable. Does that mean that if I were building out of Lego or K'NEX, if I made my base of my house with diagonal crossed bars, that would make it stronger than just straight?
Yes, if you're working in K'NEX, triangle shapes are the strongest shapes. So if you incorporate those with like a diagonal to an X across a square, that's going to be a stronger building.
But what about something like a road? What would happen to a road?
The plates go over top. So when it shifts, the road goes up, the surface goes up. Now this is a big earthquake. So Sydney, you had asked me about the Richter scale and how we measure earthquakes. This is a seismometer. Let's give it a demo. Why don't you give us a stomp, make the earth shake if you can, and we'll see how it measures up. Not too bad. It's a little.
I made a blip.
You made a blip. So you can imagine the more you've shifted the earth, the greater the energy, the higher the magnitude.
Oh no! What have I done? Whoa! Sorry about that, Harrison. Hang on.
Just kidding. But imagine if tectonic plates had to explain to their mom who made this big mess.
It's not my fault the earth went crack. He pushed me, so I pushed him back. It's not my fault this seismic rift. Pacific plate, he started it. When plate pushes plate, you get an earthquake. When plate pushes plate, you get an earthquake.
Now here's a question from Rianne.
How can they predict the weather, but they can't predict earthquakes?
Actually, Rianne, even weather forecasts are only accurate 7 times out of 10. There are so many forces involved in creating an earthquake that scientists still haven't figured out how to predict them yet.
Uh-oh. Do try this at home. If you're in an earthquake, you have to get away from anything that might fall on you. Even on a desert island.
So what if the earth started shaking right now, like this? You feel that? It's a tremor. Where do you go? What do you do? So the best place to be during an earthquake is outside, away from buildings, trees, and power lines. But, of course, you can't predict where you're going to be when there's an earthquake. So during an earthquake, it's best to be under a sturdy table like this because it protects you from anything that falls. Another great place is to sit under a door frame because the frame protects you from things that fall. Whew. But you're not really likely to feel one unless you live near a fault line.
This is a picture of the San Andreas Fault in California, where the Pacific Plate meets the North American Plate. The movement of the plates is slowly pulling California apart. Eventually, Los Angeles will slide past San Francisco in about 20 million years.
So while we're waiting for that to happen, let's take a question from Atom, who wants to find out.
How does lava get created inside volcanoes?
The Flat Earth Corner! So how does lava get created inside volcanoes? Well, here in ancient Rome, we've got that figured out. The god Vulcan has a blacksmith's forge in there. And volcano, get it? It's so funny because I made a joke and it was a funny one. Silly Romans, I am Rene Descartes. Here in the Renaissance, we admire the Romans, but instead of superstition, we have science. Through observation and deductive reasoning, I have concluded that volcanoes are created by the sun burning holes into the earth and allowing lava to escape. Makes sense, no? Descartes was a mathematical genius, but his explanation about volcanoes didn't make any more sense than the Romans. To find out how lava is created, please welcome a real volcanologist, Professor John Sticks. Hi.
How you doing, Harrison?
Welcome to my show.
Thanks for having me.
So can you tell me how lava is created?
This little can is going to tell us something about how volcanoes work.
A can of mixed nuts?
Yep.
I think I know what's coming, but I'll bite. Are you saying that snakes make lava?
Well, not exactly, wise guy.
The experiment!
How is a snake like lava?
Okay, so that's a good experiment that shows that when pressure is released, a volcanic eruption happens. What happens is the magma breaks, then you get lava.
Magma is the melted rock and metal under the Earth's crust. It turns into lava once it reaches the surface of the Earth, like when it comes out of a volcano.
So what do you have here?
It's a can of soda. We'll pop this one open, slowly, and we'll fill up this baby bottle. Okay, soda pop is actually a great analog for a volcanic eruption and a volcano, because what's happening is that you're releasing pressure, and when the pressure is released, bubbles come out.
Oh, whoa, it's filling up.
So that's exactly what happened there. The bubbles came out,
air?
And the pressure built up in the volcano. This is our volcano.
So now it's time for another question.
What would happen if volcanoes were everywhere?
Yeah, what would happen? Would it be like my scene of destruction earlier?
Yeah, it would be a mess, but it actually doesn't work like that. Most volcanoes are actually not erupting right now. They're fairly quiet.
Oh, okay.
And some volcanoes, after a few months or a few years, start to get active, and they go into eruption, and they might erupt for a few months or years, but then they quiet down. There are a couple of volcanoes that are always erupting, but these are pretty small volcanoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then let's take another question. This one's from Melissa.
Does lava turn into a special rock when it hardens?
Okay, so think about lava. We see pictures of lava flowing in places like Hawaii, for example. Yeah. Okay, so it can come out as lava, but it can come out as ash too during an explosive eruption. So here is one volcanic rock. You can hold that.
It's like it was like polished, sort of.
Yeah, it's actually glass. It's called obsidian, and it has cooled really, really fast, just like glass does.
That's really cool.
Let's look at another one. Okay, so here's a piece of pumice.
Yes, I've heard of this.
Yeah, okay, so pumice is material that's been erupted out of the volcano, but the reason it's so light is that it's full of gas bubbles from all the gas, just like our can, okay? Same idea, full of gas bubbles that came out of the magma as it was erupted. Do you think this is heavy?
Probably.
It's not actually that heavy.
No, you're just going to show
it. Okay, yeah. So inside this rock, this is a great rock.
Yeah.
So this is called a volcanic bomb. And inside the rock, it's full of bubbles, okay? And on the outside, it cooled faster than inside.
Really?
So it's full of cracks. See, all these are the cracks.
Oh yeah, all these things.
Yeah, and then inside here, if we dropped it, which I'm not going to do, if we dropped it, we would see tons of bubbles. It would look something like
that inside?
Yep.
It would split open, yeah. Okay.
Let's do one more thing. Okay. So let's think about magma flowing in a conduit before it erupts. Okay. Flowing through the throat of the volcano. So here's the magma right here. It's actually sort of silly putty. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the magma flow slowly first.
Okay.
So just pull slowly.
Okay.
Okay. Here's slowly flowing magma. Okay. No problem. Lava comes out and so forth. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
So now, all of a sudden, for some reason, maybe because there's a lot of gas in the system, the stuff, instead of flowing slowly, it's flowing fast. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So it didn't flow. It didn't flow. It actually broke. So it can come out as big pieces, one big piece, one big piece, one very big piece. But it can also come out as ash. So these are very small pieces.
So that's how you get all these cool shapes I found.
Okay, so this is a picture of the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. And it's showing a series of lava flows, and the columns, they're actually called columnar joints, and it's caused by the cooling of the lava. This other picture is a picture of the Hawaiian Islands. I think it's a very great place to look for lava flows. You can see wonderful lava flows actually in the process of forming and flowing and actually flowing into the ocean sometimes. Yeah, and this is an example of a lava tube. And a lava tube is basically just as it sounds, lava flowing through a tube. And one reason it's able to flow in the tube is because the tube insulates the lava, so it stays hot, it's able to flow, and it's actually able to flow sometimes very long distances.
Okay, so now what are we doing over here?
Okay, we're going to look at 2 pieces of volcanic rock.
Okay, so
pick up the first one.
This one.
So people actually use that for their barbecues?
It has a bunch of holes.
Yeah, throw it in the water now.
Okay.
Okay, so that sinks.
It just sank right
Most
away.
volcanic rocks sink.
Yeah.
Throw that one in the water.
Okay, so this one, it floats.
It's got so many bubbles, it's super light, less dense than water, so it actually floats. And this is from a highly explosive volcanic eruption.
So maybe it's the only rock that floats?
Yeah, I think it is the only rock that floats. That's exactly right.
So thanks for helping me find stuff out. Can you come back later for the big finale?
I wouldn't miss it.
Awesome. Amazing, isn't it? Volcanoes make you think of destruction and ruin, but there are a lot of positive things that come out of them too, like soap.
Besides that, volcano stuff is also made into blades that eye doctors use to perform delicate surgery. It's in the cement used to build our homes and schools, and in fertilizers that help to grow our food.
Let's take another question. This one's from Sam.
My question is, what's the temperature inside of a volcano?
The temperature inside of a volcano? Okay, let's take a look. The temperature inside of my house is about 20 degrees. And we know a volcano is hotter than that. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, but rock melts much hotter than that. Our oven can bake stuff at 220 degrees, but I don't think rock can melt in it. Maybe if we use 16 ovens, 220 times 16, probably close to the temperature of my brain right now, which is hot enough to...
You're gonna make my head explode!
So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that the inside of a volcano is really hot. But to get a more precise answer, I'm gonna go over to Sydney at the Science Center. Over to you, Sydney.
Thank you, Harrison. Now we're gonna meet George Karunas. Speaking of which, where is he? What is that?
Hi, Sydney.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Getting kind of warm in here.
What is this?
This is my volcano heat suit. It's a specially designed suit that allows me to not only get close to volcanoes, but right up to the lava.
So you've been into real volcanoes with this?
Several times, yeah. It's what I do.
That is so cool.
I explore erupting volcanoes.
It must have been really hot, though.
Exactly, and that's why I wear the suit. Lava can be 2,000 degrees. Now imagine if you're baking a cake at home, that's only 350 degrees. So if lava were to cover your car, it would melt. It's hot enough to melt rock. I've been in a situation where I've had lava in my hand, like a hot potato. It's so hot.
So you must have been in there very short periods of time, otherwise this you might even burn.
Exactly. It will protect me, but not for a long time. I'll put on the suit, I'll get into the volcano, close to the lava, maybe for a few minutes to grab a sample, take some photos, and then out.
So how does a volcano work?
Well, I've got a simulation right here, and I can show you. Hit the button.
Okay.
Solar volcanoes are one of the biggest kinds. Yes, and when they have a huge eruption,
look at that.
Rocks can go flying for kilometers out of the volcano.
And look at the streaks of ash with the rocks.
Yep. Tremendous
Flying
amounts of
up.
ash that can bury cities and spread more than halfway around the world.
It's almost like an avalanche of ash.
That's exactly what it is. That's a pyroclastic flow. It is an avalanche of ash and hot gas pouring down the side of the mountain. Pompeii is a city in Italy that was completely buried by ash in 79 AD, a long time ago, and they were actually able to excavate, find the city underneath, and they actually found the shell of people that were buried by the volcano 2,000 years ago.
The shell?
By digging down, they were able to find empty spaces in the piles of ash where people used to be. They filled those holes with plaster, and when they took away all the ash, they found the shape of human beings.
Whoa.
It's really amazing to see. The power of a volcano, it's like a gigantic bomb going off.
If the city was at the bottom of the volcano, could any people run away and escape before it came in?
Depends on the size of the volcanic eruption. A big eruption, like the one that we just simulated here, you would have pretty much no chance of running.
How does that suit protect you then?
Well, let me show you. Come on. All right, I'm gonna show you exactly how this suit protects me from a volcano's heat. I got my friend Mark here. He's gonna breathe fire on me. Stand back.
Cool. I'm not sure what they're about to do, but whatever it is, do not try it at home.
Whoa. Ready?
Whoa! Whoa, that was amazing! Woohoo! That was great! Thank you guys so much for joining us. Back to you, host Harrison.
What a coincidence! That's how my grandma bakes her cookies. Thanks, Sydney. And now it's time to go to the question that started this investigation.
What will happen if someone cracks the earth?
The big answer is nothing new. The Earth already is cracked, and is still cracking and shifting as we speak.
Along with that, we get new mountains, new islands, and we have to live with occasional earthquakes and volcanoes.
Which unfortunately we can't predict. But here's something we can predict. At the beginning of the show, I promised you a huge eruption, and here it is. So here I am back at my school's loading dock, which they've let me use for this demonstration, and Professor Sticks has come to help me out.
Yeah, Harrison, we're gonna make an explosive eruption. We're gonna shake up these cans and we're gonna simulate a volcanic eruption on three. Ready?
Okay,
one, two, three. All right, not bad.
So that was fun, but it wasn't that explosive finish that you've been waiting for. Right, Professor?
Yeah, I think we can do better.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the first thing you do when a volcano erupts?
Run?
As fast as you can.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. See you next time for more Finding Stuff Out! Hi, welcome to Finding Stuff Out. You know what I love about doing the show? Whenever I'm about to get blamed for something, like that moldy bread under the couch, I always say it's research. Like when I made a paper airplane in class, I told the teacher that you guys sent me a bunch of questions about flying. Here's the first one. It's from Angelina.
Why can't humans fly?
I know! It's so unfair, isn't it, Angelina? Whatever the reason is that I can't fly, it's not good enough! But maybe if we start with something that can fly and figure out how they can do it, maybe we can fix it so that we can. Let's start at the beginning.
We have to go back, way back, about 360 million years. The first living creature to fly was an insect.
Geronimo!
And flying was such a big advantage. If you're trying to catch something to eat or avoid being eaten, that more bugs evolved to fly. Today, more than 1 million species of bugs have wings.
That's a lot of flying bugs. Almost as many as I have questions.
Here's one from Mika.
How do fat bees fly with their little legs and their big fat selves?
That's exactly what I want to find out about. Bees do not look like they should be able to fly. So if they can do it, why can't humans?
Check this out. These bees are beating their wings so incredibly fast, you can hardly see them. Now watch. I put it into super slow-mo. See? They don't just flap them like birds do. They rotate them. Bees fly a lot like helicopters. That's the way I want to fly. They both can hover, change direction quickly, and watch this, fly backwards.
Clearly, insects are nature's expert flyers. So if we're ever going to do it, we should probably find out how they do it.
Excuse me.
Whoa, okay, maybe not. No more bugs. Next question.
How do birds fly?
The short answer is wings. To find out how wings work, I have a 4-time Canadian model airplane champion. Please welcome my special guest. It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, and it's Isabelle Deslauriers.
Hi, Harrison.
I'm glad that's not a bug. So I want to know how birds use their wings to fly. Can you help me?
Sure. What you have to know is that whether you're a bird or an airplane, either way, what you need to fly is a set of wings. They all look a little bit different, but they have the same basic shape, and it's called an airfoil. Do you know what an airfoil is?
No, what's an airfoil?
So an airfoil, it's like a giant sail on a sailboat.
Okay.
So the only difference is that on a sailboat, the wind pushes the sail and the boat moves forward, but on the airplane, the 2 sails are lying down, so the wind goes over the wing and under the wing. And because it's shaped like a sail, it's an airfoil, that wind makes it go up. It's kind of the same thing for birds, but there's one difference. What do birds do with their wings that airplanes don't do? They flap it, exactly. So they go faster and faster until they're going fast enough that they can just spread their wings like that and soar and glide.
I put this little beauty together myself. It's a wind tunnel. It actually shows how wings work.
Yeah, so what's really cool about the wind tunnel is that usually you can't see wind, but with the wind tunnel, there's a smoke machine, and you can see the smoke, so it shows you how the wind is going.
Okay.
So what people do when they want to test airplanes, they put it in there. So can you see how the smoke is hitting under the wing?
Yeah, it goes like below, like it hits down and goes below, and then a little bit comes up and goes over.
Exactly. So if we were going to let go of the airplane, that wind that we see with the smoke would push the wing up, and that's what would make the airplane fly. So people can design wings like that and figure out what's the best wing for an airplane.
Okay.
But maybe we can test some other stuff too.
Yes, I think we have this flying chipmunk or squirrel, yeah?
So the flying squirrel has like big flaps of skins like that, just like a wing. So it's a nice curved shape, like an airfoil.
Yeah.
And when it jumps out, it does like a parachute.
Oh, so it doesn't actually have wings that can flap, just stretchy skin.
That's right.
And we also have Falcon Boy, yeah! Because Falcon Boy can fly, and it's a falcon and a boy.
I don't know about you, but I think Falcon Boy should get a ride on the airplane.
Let's do that.
Put him on?
Okay, wait.
Let's see if that works.
He gets lazy sometimes, so he just takes an airplane.
So although wings might look a little bit different, whether you're an airplane, a bee, or a bird, or a flying squirrel, or even Falcon Boy, they all work pretty much in the same way.
So I think we're getting somewhere. If I have the right type of wings, maybe I can fly. That sounds like a challenge.
My Great Challenge!
Today's Great Challenge is all about making the best homemade paper airplanes. We're here at my school's loading dock since we need a lot of space to fly them. Our 2 challengers today are Kenny and Aaliyah. They're going to be demonstrating airfoil with nothing but paper and air. The contestants are going to be making specialized planes to fly the straightest, the farthest, and to perform the best aerobatic tricks.
Plane number 1, the straight shooter.
What makes this plane fly the straightest?
Well, it's kind of pointy, so it's a very pointy and narrow wing like this. So it's like an arrow or a dart. So it's going to go very straight.
Plane number 2, the cruiser.
What's the difference with the one we just made?
Well, this one has square wings and they're really big, so it's going to help it go really far and fly for a really long time. It can just soar a lot longer and a lot better. So what's really special about this airplane is that it actually won the world's record for the longest flight.
Cool. Wow. I'm gonna beat that record.
I believe in you, Kenny. You go for it.
Plane number 3, the stunt plane.
What tricks do they do?
So they can do loops and stall turns and all kinds of stuff. And if you're really, really good with it, you can even make it come back to you like a boomerang.
So I guess we're all done. Now it's for the moment of truth.
Yeah!
Okay, the first round is all about accuracy. Kenny, you're up first.
So you guys are going for the cone. The closest one wins. Pretty good.
Aaliyah, now it's your turn. So I guess that round goes to Kenny. Now for the second round, which is about distance. Good job, Aaliyah. You are the winner of the second round. So you both have won one round. So the winner will be determined by the third round, which is about aerobatics. Kenny, you're up first. So I guess Aaliyah was the winner. She was the first one to do a loop-de-loop. So Aaliyah is our winner. Congratulations. Yes! Now it's time for another question. This one's from Eric John.
What I want to know is how big is the biggest bird alive?
Now we're talking, Eric John. If humans are going to fly, we should probably check out some of the biggest flyers. To answer your question, I'm gonna get some street smarts! I found out the bigger the bird is, the bigger wings it needs to fly.
The bird with the biggest wingspan and the world's champion long-distance flyer is the wandering albatross. These giant seabirds can ride ocean winds for hours without resting or even flapping their long wings.
So, how wide is the wingspan of an albatross?
This wide!
These kids think it's a really heavy bird.
If I were a bird, I would like to be an albatross because I have a big appetite.
So I want to know how much you think an albatross weighs.
1,000 pounds? 55 pounds? 805 pounds? 300 pounds? 115 pounds? 500 pounds? 99 pounds? 20?
And the winner is you!
Yes!
An albatross weighs just over 20 pounds, which is about the weight of a one-year-old baby.
Wow. I find it unbelievable. I thought it was 500 pounds. It's really light. I thought it would be more than 20 pounds.
Whoa! So how much do you think I weigh?
80. 9,000. 90. 102.
102? Actually, I weigh 70 pounds. I guarantee it. Yeah, you can put me down now if you want.
It's not heavy.
So I weigh about 70 pounds, which would be 3.5 albatrosses.
My wings would have to be this wide for me to be able to fly. That would be hard. I'd need a lot of wide open space to land, and it would be really, really difficult to go inside anywhere.
Maybe the albatross isn't the best model for humans wanting to fly. So here I am with Tanya Drapeau from Falcon Environmental Services, who I thought was gonna bring a lightweight bird, but this guy looks heavy.
That's what you think. Why don't you try it out?
Okay. And then I hold this?
Yeah, you hold on to that, and as I drop my arm, the bird goes up the stairs.
Okay.
Just like that, onto your fist.
Go.
So what do you think?
It's pretty light. He was lighter than I actually thought he was gonna be.
Yeah, he kind of looks like he weighs more than a house cat, but he weighs about 5 pounds. That's the same as a big tub of peanut butter.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty much his weight. Do you want me to take it
Yeah.
back? All right. So all you need to do is
just
open your hands. There we are. And there we go. Right back
Perfect.
to me. Now, birds have lots of adaptations for flight, so that's why sometimes they look heavier than they actually are. Half of his body is really just feathers. And then their skeleton actually is made up of many hollow bones, so that means that there's kind of nothing in them. They're very strong, but it allows them to be lighter for flight. Humans will have a very strong jaw bone as well as teeth, whereas birds just have a very lightweight beak or bill.
Just the eyes seem to weigh a lot because they're so big.
Well, his eyes actually take up 2/3 of his skull, and that means that one eyeball is actually larger than his brain. I'll leave it at that. If we compared it to a human, it would mean that we have eyes as large as grapefruit.
Grapefruits? Now here's another question.
What's the fastest bird alive?
Yeah, what is the fastest bird alive? Can you tell us, Tanya?
Yes, I can, and he is really fast.
Well, I'm really fast too. Hi.
Hi. Harrison, I'd like you to meet Julie, and this is Orion. He is a peregrine falcon. Orion can go up to 300 kilometers per hour in a dive when he's going after prey.
300 kilometers? That's faster than this, and this. So why does he have this hat?
Well, it's actually called a hood. And the thing about birds of prey is they're ultra fast, but they also see very, very well, up to 8 times better than people. So for him, having his eyes hidden right now means that he can stay calm, and it's also part of his training. So when the hood comes off, he's ready to go.
Orion, ready to fly?
So you stay here with me. Orion is actually so fast that he needs a large area to fly. So that means he needs all the room to stretch his wings and gain all his speed. And when he comes stooping and diving down, he's at high speed. So we want to make sure he has all the room. So Julie just took off the hood. So the first thing that he does is scope out where he wants to take off towards. And he loves to take off against the wind. So he's kind of looking at the wind, he's looking at his surroundings and getting engaged. And with a ruffle of his feathers, that means that he's ready to go. And he should be ready for takeoff. A little scratch to the head. Yep, definitely ready for takeoff.
The falcon flies at incredible speeds when it hunts. It rises high into the air, far above the other birds, and then dives at its prey.
I like how those falcons fly, soaring on a breeze, not flapping at crazy speeds like those insects. Hey, I'm sort of like a falcon. I'm strong and light. I can soar if all I have to do is hold my wings out straight. All I need are some wings.
The Flat Earth Corner!
Hi, welcome to the 11th century. I'm Elmer, a monk at Malmesbury Abbey, and you're about to witness history. As you can see, I've made myself a set of wings, just like a bird. I'm gonna be the first human in the history of the world to fly by taking a running leap off the Abbey roof. Pretty smart, huh? Okay, here we go. One small step for monk, one giant leap for monkkind. Geronimo! I'm flying! I'm flying! I'm flying! Oh, man. Elmer didn't become the world's first flying monk. He ended up going the distance of about a football field, but he crashed and was crippled for life. He just didn't know the science of flying.
It took a few more centuries before people figured out how to build gliders that could actually keep a person in the air. We had to learn a little bit more about wings.
Well, I can still dream about flying anyway. Finding out how bees and birds fly just proves that I can't. But there are other animals that can.
Now here's a question Hanlon asked me to find the answer to.
How come pterosaurs can fly and little dinosaurs can't?
To answer your question, it's that pterosaurs weren't actually dinosaurs. They were flying reptiles. Now, you probably know that flying reptiles died millions of years ago, right?
Well, surprise! Here's Chrysopolia, better known as the flying snake. It's very much alive. It doesn't exactly fly, but it can glide. It does a kind of parachute jump by sucking in its belly to form a wing. By twisting from side to side, it can even control the direction it goes in. It can glide the length of a football field in one jump.
Flying snakes. I hope I never come across one of those. Here's another question from Tamara.
Does the flying fish really fly?
Almost.
Flying fish can fly by swimming really fast and then leaping into the air and spreading their fins like wings. That lets them get away from other fish that want to eat them. They can glide almost the length of a hockey rink. Some scientists believe that flying fish are evolving into true flyers.
Okay, to find out why humans can't fly, we've looked at insects, birds, even snakes, and fish. And the only mammal we've seen is the flying squirrel, which is really the gliding squirrel. But aren't there any mammals that can truly fly? Yes, there is one. It's a bat, a baseball bat. No, I'm just kidding, it's not a baseball bat. It's a real bat.
Like the flying squirrel, bats have stretched skin and an airfoil design that lets them glide. But what's different about bats is that their skin is part of a true wing. Bats flap their wings, making them true flyers. A flying mammal, yeah! Maybe there's hope for humans yet.
But just a cool-looking pair of bat wings is not enough. Although a bat may look big with its wings spread, they're actually quite light. The little brown bat is about the weight of this pen. And they still take a lot of energy to fly.
In the summer, the brown bat can eat its entire body weight in insects each night.
Excuse me. Yeah, aren't you glad you don't have to eat your own weight in bugs every night? Okay, so we found out a lot about what it takes to fly. We found out that snakes can parachute from trees, and fish can evolve wings, and even mammals can fly. So what about the amazing question that started this episode?
Why can't humans fly?
The big answer is... I found out that we just didn't evolve the things that we need to fly.
Let's see. First of all, you've got to have wings. Really big wings. To flap the wings, you've got to have powerful muscles on your thorax. But even then, you have to be really light. Okay, I'm starting to look like a bug now.
Never mind all that stuff. I'm going to try to fly, and you can try it with me.
Uh-oh. Do try this at home.
Okay, so after finding all that stuff out about wings, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to fly. Come on, keep that circular motion like a bee. Flap faster, faster! Okay, you can stop now. Ouch. Did you know bees and flies flap 200 times per second? And other insects flap up to 1,000 times per second. You'd have to flap at least this fast to get off the ground.
Birds do it, bees do it, even squirrels and fish do it, flying through the air, so why can't I? Bats do it, snakes do it, even some squids do it, flying through the air, so why can't I? No hollow bones or feathery wings, no stretchy skin, but I have these. Didn't evolve with these adaptions. We can't fly without contraptions. Without them, more herky-jerky, might as well be a frozen turkey.
We'd have to evolve so much to be able to fly. Maybe it's better that we evolved big brains instead. After all, our big brains helped us figure out how to fly in airplanes, helicopters, and rockets. Although, you might wonder if our brains really are that much bigger after you see this next clip.
These grown-ups have learned to glide by using special flight suits with stretchy material. They glide just like the flying squirrel does. But it's still a very dangerous activity.
Join me again next time on Finding Stuff out, where I'll continue to investigate your questions. Check this out. Hey, they look like you.